All right, we are in the Acacia Reserve Tournament. Today is Monday's qualifying round. What I did was I went out and I played the first 3 holes and I was getting some lag, so I turned everything off and reset my modem and reset all my devices and restarted. And so here we are. So I'm gonna practice the first 3 holes, and then I'll go back out in qualifying so we can practice them for free. So today I'm not worried about qualifying, obviously. I'm just out practicing, just want to take a look at the holes out there on the course and make sure that I at least have a game plan on how to play them. So hole number 1. Now, on hole number 1, there's a bunch of ways to play it, but with this account, I don't have a huge ball inventory, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try a max overpower hook shot, trying to bring myself through this lane. And I think I found a spot out here. Here's the first cut of the rough. Here's the second. And there's a third cut of the rough out here. I think I'm on the transitional line between the second and the third cut of the rough. And I want to be about a quarter of a ring. So I'm dead center. And then I'm going to move it over to the left a quarter of a ring. The way I'm setting this up is I'm going to set up, if I had tailwind or any kind of wind that was working for me, I would use like 5.5 topspin. But if we've got headwind today, I'll just have to put it all on. What I'm looking for is to make sure that my line, I may not make it there if we have headwind, but I know that I would if we had good wind that's not laying the ball down. We'll see. I'm going to do a reverse hook here. So I'm going to do like the 5.5 top spin, and then I'm going to do 3 right-hand side spin. Side spin does not take effect until the ball touches the ground. So if I look at my angles here, trying to get the ball to whip around this way to come at the cup, hitting out here, I'm going to end up on the inside. So what I want the ball to do is, as soon as it touches the ground, I want it to pull it to the right and get me back on trajectory. It's a reverse hook. There's several different ways that you can do reverse hooks. This is just let's make sure. I am practice. Hole number. Let's make sure we got the right stuff. I'm taking bag number 1, bag number 5, and a katana. I think in headwind days, I think in any kind of tailwind days, you can do this with a katana, but I think in headwind days, we probably have to up it to a kingmaker. But what'll happen if we use a kingmaker is it's going to change where we're setting our shot up. So there will be a little bit. It'd be nice to know. So if we have headwind days and you're doing the max overpower hook shot, I would highly recommend that you go out there and practice it, because it'll change the everything about the trajectory. And if you switch to a 3 power ball instead of a 2 power ball, your starting spot is going to be different. Go first. I'm going to do all of the topspin because we've got headwind today. It's 1.5 per ring. 3 rings would be 4 or 5. Now it's probably going to be short, but I'm hoping that my trajectory is correct. And you can see when it touched the ground out there how much it pulled it. Like the first bounce, it pulled it to the right, and you can see that second bounce that hit out there in the rough. I mean, it jerked the ball seriously to the right by putting on that right-hand side spin. If you didn't, it's already, everything's going to the left, and each one of those bounces that hits the ground, it's just going to pull it dramatically more to the left. And I'm 100% sure that on headwind days, just a simple kingmaker would have made that shot easy. Now getting over to that side over there, you got a straight up shot. But you still got a lot of work to get done. I mean, I still have a lot of work to get done right here. Okay, there's max. There's mid. So 3.5 divided by 2.4. 1.45 rings. I'm going to do 1.5 rings. Trying to hit it perfect. Not try, do. In the hole. Alright. That wasn't exactly what I was looking for, but that's the result that I'm looking for. And that is the, you can get over there if you've got an APOC. Especially if you have an APOC 5, 6, or bigger. Something where it's got its curl. And you can try just a max curl shot to take it over there. It helps if you have a ball that's got top spin boost. Like you may find, especially if you don't have an upper developed APOC. If you had a APOC 7, which of course we'd all like an APOC 7, but you could probably do it without doing anything special. There's lots of different ways to play that hole, and the whole deal is that you got to play that with your clubs. And everybody's got different clubs, so you'll have to work that out on which way you want to go. It's not a bad deal on that hole. If you lay it up out here, you can be in a fairly consistent spot. And then you've got the same shot over and over. And it's not a bad deal just to lay it up right here. It doesn't take anything special to lay it up right here. And realistically, you'd be more apt to be able to pinpoint a spot over here than you will trying to get over here. Because how you come out of that rough, maybe one day it's a little fat, one day it's got headwind and it's real fat, and one day you're out here and the next day you're right off. But here, you could pinpoint that spot and really dial that shot in. But if you're trying to go for it, to really get over there, the whole deal is the second shot's going to be variable, but you're so damn close that it's not that big of an issue. So it's the risk versus reward. The risk is that you end up in the rough or the sand. The reward is that you end up in the fairway and it's a pretty easy eagle. But it's not a bad eagle from the rough or the sand. And you still got a great shot at it. It's just the needle's moving faster. Hole number 2. Hole number 2. All right, here we go. Now, this hole, if we have tailwind, you can bring out... What's funny about this hole is I played this hole earlier today, and there's a lot of holes that you get on that you don't have to bring out a power 5 ball. You can bring out a power 3 ball and just do a max overpower shot. But if you bring out a power 5 ball, you can do the same exact shot, but you don't have to do any overpower. And you're more apt to hit a non-overpowered shot perfect than you are an overpowered shot. At least for me. I mean, maybe you feel like you're different, but at least for me, I can hit non-overpowered shots easier than overpowered shots. But on this hole, it's not like that. If you bring out a power 5 ball, you still got to freaking do overpower. I mean, it's like the spot is... Now, you got a power 4 ball, and that's all you're going to do is just hit it over there. That's it. They had a little bit of their blue ring. Man, dude, what the fuck are you doing? That is a max curl shot the way you set it up. What are you doing? And you're short shooting it. Why does that feel like it's just going to be... How in the hell did it end up there? They still have a shit ton of work to do. See, I can get over to that fairway with a 2-power ball, but if I switch this up and put in a 5-power ball, I still have to do overpower. And that's really where I want to go, is down in that area, straight down in that, and just take the wind out. And with a 3-power ball, I can't quite get over there. I might, if I was really brave, I might be able to do a rough bump off of that section to try and get it over there, but that is grim. You really, I think, need a 4-power ball just to try and get over. We will time out and try that again. I may just hit it over to that other fairway just to see what this little rough bump here looks like and get it onto that fairway. There is a second bounce rough bump that you can do there, but there are a few holes I will have to admit that I do a second bounce rough bump. There's one hole that I can think of that I do a third bounce rough bump, but those are not my favorite type of shots. Number one, anything goes wrong on if it's not perfect when you release it, hell, it's off on the first bounce, and it's way the hell off on the second bounce, and it's way the hell off on the third bounce. A little higher wind. 3-8. I'm going to do, there's 4-2. That'll put me in the sand. Way deep in the sand. Look at how much that laid that down. I mean, it wasn't even close. Even if I'd hit that perfect, it was not even close. Just that little teeny bit of forward or headwind really lays it down. I think that whole deal of where we used to on some of this, and it's especially pronounced when you're doing max overpower. So if you're just doing a normal shot and you're not doing overpower, we might, on some of these holes do a 10 or a 15% on the drive, maybe even as much as a 20. But if you're doing overpower against a headwind, it is killing that ball, just killing it. Killing it. All right. I really didn't want to waste the ball on that. I know where I'm going down there, and the whole deal is that you just have to hit it perfect, and it'll end up way down at the end of that fairway, and you got a killer shot from it. I'm going to play my 77 account here this afternoon, and I've got a bigger ball inventory in that account. Now, the new pin on this hole just sucks. Where the new pin's at, like, this picture does not do this justice. It all looks like it's kind of flat in here, but this is all the way that this is working. It's rolling down this hill hard. So if you're here and you're trying to get a line straight at the cup, you can't get the ball guide to go there. You got to move the ball guide to the left and put some spin on it in order to get it, and then it wants to go past the cup. It's coming in hot. I tried looking at it from this spot here, but it's not quite as bad. It's bad, but it's not quite as bad as if you're in this spot. I'm going to hit from right here, and we'll see what we can get done. Practice hole number 3. One more hole to practice, and then we can go back out on the regular course and just do our normal qualifying round and play it for free. Maybe, if I can get an opponent. if yeah, whenever I start singing, they're like, whoa, 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 he's singing. Get him an opponent, quick! I have no idea. We'll see if I can get there with a katana. Three, two. I'm just going to do a normal wind adjustment. Yeah, I should add on 10%. So that's 3.5. Oh, fuck. That was all me. That was all me. Damn it. The good news about that rough bump right there is you do have a little bit of room, so if you hit a grate to the left or the right, you'll still hit the rough. If you hit a grate to the left, you take the risk that the second bounce will hit the rough and you get caught in it, or you'll end up short like I am, which isn't that big of a deal. But if you hit a grate to the right, it's still going to hit the rough. Hitting it perfect. Or you can do what my opponent did and try and bounce it over. You can see how that looks flat, but look at it right there. It's definitely not flat. It's very, very deceiving. Isn't it perfect? I am still getting some lag. I'm amazed how much the wind pushed that back, even though I was that close. So my opponent can get it in. All right. What do we have for hole number 4? My notes say extra mile, power 5, plus 10 on the drive. Take wind out, put one ring back in. I remember what hole this is. And this is another hole, hole number 4, that the deal is that this hole, it cracks me up when people are, this game has changed because of our ball inventory. We can do shit on these holes that we were not able to do in the past because of ball inventory. We'll go out on hole number 4 and see what the deal is. I can't remember. It seems like this is the hole we have to do max overpower on, and but I could be wrong. I think it just really depends on what ball you bring out. Stan goes first. I got a power 3 ball, so let's see where they end up. Yeah, I think if you bring out a power 5 ball, you don't have to do any overpower on it. And there's something I just read not too long ago that rookies are allowed to buy ball packs now. So You know, you get on these holes and you're like, wow, everybody's kicking my ass because they got that precision ball and that 5 power and that topspin boost and all that stuff, and they're able to get up there. And hey, that is the elephant that's in the room that nobody really wants to talk about, and everybody wants to act like it's not happening. But hey, you have access to buy them just like everybody else, and if somebody bought them and they have them in their inventory, they may have a leg up. That's just how it works. But you can get this done with a Power 3 ball. .8. It's about a ring and a half. That would be like 3/1, so that'd be a 10%. You can't put much curl on it. You can lean a little, but you can't put much left-hand curl on it, or the second bounce will clip the rough right there if you put too much curl on it. And you gotta thread that needle. Even with the Power 5 ball there, you just don't, the benefit is you don't have to do overpower, so you're more apt. And if you got a day where there's headwind, you may have to do a little bit of overpower, but you won't have to do max. See if my opponent can get in the hole. Get in the hole, ball. Claw is not a bad club, but if they have a claw, and a claw really isn't a bad club. The thing about the common clubs, the sniper is a club that you will keep in your bag forever and a day. I mean, it is a usable club for a long, long time. Even when the hammerhead gets maxed out, the sniper is like, it's right there. I mean, it's still arguable which one's the better club, but your Saturn, your Claw, those other common clubs, those are great, great utility clubs. They can get a lot of stuff done. You can they have topspin, backspin, ball guide slightly, you know, it's like in the high 3s. Not bad. What's funny is I played with a Saturn for a long time, until the Grizzly got revamped, because it used to be the biggest piece of crap. It was worse than it was arguably the worst club in the game, and they did fix it. They did revamp it, but I'm really surprised at myself that I didn't play with a Goliath going up instead of a Saturn. It has the same tools, and in some areas more. Hole number 5. Hole number 5. Alright. I really don't like the rough bump on this. I don't like these I don't want to have to travel through all that. I want to try and be off to the left a little and try and bring it around those moguls. It's still got to travel on the green, and it still has to go through some shit, but I'd rather it not have to go through all of it. So I'm going to take any bag with a Grizzly, and I'm going to take a Katana. Should buy some Katanas just so I have some. Don't want to run out on the course. It's never a good thing when you have to look for a ball or do some kind of shit while you're out on the course, because it's so easy. I'm going to do a 12.5% adjustment. Don't ask. I've tried, that's where I'm at. Just go with it. If you do hand mouth, it's not that big of an issue. I think Dale Appleby's got an app. He's working on an app that, and you can do adjustments by 1 percentage point. So if you're on a hole and a 15's not working and a 10's not working, you can do the 12.5, or you could do a 12 or a 13, and you could adjust that. I will forfeit this hole to get that ball if you play with that ball. There you go. You can see where my opponent's line is, where their ball guide's running here, and you can see all of the movement that's here. There's a little lane that's in between, and I'm trying to ride that lane to the cup. It's not absolutely smooth, but it definitely doesn't have as many potholes in it as the rest of the green. Now this is the other way you can do it, is you can come right up on it and try and get up there with your Guardian. The one thing about a Guardian is it doesn't have quite enough ball guide to give you a tail like your Thorn. If the Guardian gave you enough ball guide to give you a tail so that you could see which direction it was going to actually go backwards when it sucks back on that backspin, I think more people in the game would play with a Guardian for sure. Here we go. Times 4.5 divided by 0.9. 5.62 rings. And I am right at max. 4 backspin. I'm gonna 5.62 rings. Set that up shitty. 5.62, and I am just barely into power. I'm gonna just be right on the nubs. And I'm still getting some lag. It's still jumpy. Boy, today is just something's going on. I am getting some good looks on my notes just to make sure what it is, but the round itself is questionable. I do not want to qualify today, so I'm going to miss my putt and be nice and give my opponent a chest. Giving back to the community. Good luck. Good luck, my man. Hole number 6. What the hell is hole number 6? Let me look at the big one. Sometimes I look at those small pictures. They don't give me anything. All right, there's a bunch of. The easiest way is just to get out into here. You can get right in front of the sand, and it gives you a nice clean shot right to the cup. If you get out here far enough, you have several options. There is a rough bump that you can do depending on where the pin's at. Or you can try and get all the way out here, and you're in, I think in any of these you're in your long iron, but you can get up here. I think you can get up far enough that you can get into your short iron if you pound it way up there. But I don't think we really need to do that. We will see. I'm going to just take my number 1 bag, extra mile, Kingmaker. I'm going to use a Titan today. One less than max topspin. Titan, the king of balls. One less than max topspin. I want to go straight out into that zone. Now I am blue ring off right on this side, trying to get the straight run at it. You can see where my second bounce is. So if I hit a great to the left, the first bounce is going to be here, and the second bounce should be in front of that. Anything more than 2, and I'm screwed. 2.3. It's 2.1 per ring, so I'm going to do a ring and a little. And I keep hitting it great to the right because it keeps jumping right there. There's a little bit of a jump and it's throwing me off. See what kind of distance I get? 383. I think on my last time we played this, my goal was 385 to 390. And I could put that little bit of topspin back on, but I think there was some risk. I didn't want to end up overshooting it and ending up in that. It looks like I'm a mile away from that rough, but it's all downhill. So if it's rolling, you'll pick up more than just the one topspin. And it's not nearly as good when you're in the rough out here as it is when you're not in the rough. Although I like my opponent's idea of just trying to get all the way over it. With one of those topspin boost balls, how far did they get? Shit, they damn near got over it. With one of those topspin boost balls, you might be able to get over it. What kind of deal would that be? And there's Max. I don't think I have enough. Well, I might. With the new pin placement, I might. I'd rather be there. What is that? A little? 3 1/4. I'm gonna wait. I probably could have snapped that off in time, but I'm gonna wait and go back and look at it. That is a slim little rough bump right there when you got to pull under the sand. You can see how distorted the rings were. Let's see what it looks like if I just try and get right in front of it. Where am I at? I'm at max. So it's 3.8 divided by 0.9. It's 5.48 rings. I don't think I have enough backspin with this club if I was going to hit it that far. Maybe. 5.48 rings. And I still hit it great. And it still gave me that jog. I did a 30% adjustment right there. It's pretty hot here at my house for where I live. Traditionally, we have about 3 weeks of hot weather every year where it's like around 100. And about 3 weeks of cold weather. And 3 months of rain. But over the last 10, 15 years, our weather pattern has changed, and now we're getting a shorter and shorter spring and more hot weather. And now our 3 weeks, instead of being around 100, are in the hundreds. It's supposed to be 108 here today. And it was 102 at 9 o'clock this morning. So I'm sure. I'm sitting in the shade. And where I'm at, I've got a breeze, so it's not actually too bad where I'm at. It is hot, but it's not, I'm not sitting out in the sun hot. Man, I really like this hole too. This is like when it's in its old pin placement right there. I really like this hole. And I am kind of bummed that they felt like they needed to fix it. Now, I have been hitting, for whatever reason, if you go to Golf Clash Notebook or even Tommy's site and you're checking out or club accuracy, if you got a maxed out Grizzly and you're using, I think it's a 0, a 1, and a 2 power ball, it's 0.9 per ring if you're at max club. But if you pop out a 3 power ball, it's 1 per ring. But I have found that it just hits better at the 0.9 per ring. Maybe with a 5 power ball, it's a little different, but with a 3 power ball, it's still at the 0.9, and I was hitting it at 1 for a long time, and then I decided to go to the 0.9. But I think this hole, I have the math worked out for the 1.0, so I'm going to do 1 per ring. I'm going to switch to a quasar. I think I might need that side spin. .7 divided by 1, 4.32 rings. Oh fuck, it is. I am getting some serious jerky lag. You can see right there the I'm not sure what the hell that is. I'm not sure if that's the course. And this happens sometimes on some of the courses that we play. It's like everything's going good. I've been playing one-on-one all week, and I was playing some one-on-one this morning, and I haven't had any glitchy stuff at all. But I get out here on this course, and all of a sudden now it's starting to glitch. That is not, that's not good. But it's a hot day. Everybody might be home. Maybe the internet's getting stressed in my neighborhood. Everybody's getting a little lag. Who knows? I can tell you, if you ask Playdemic, they will tell you that it's your fault. Yeah, we know our servers are down, but it's your fault. Nothing is their fault, ever. Ever. Let's get that straight. All right, we can get there with a katana, though. Oh, excuse me, a quasar. I think a katana might work better because of the 3 side spin. I had to move it. I had to scoot it over to the right just a little bit in order to make the 2 side spin work. 3 side spin might work a little bit better. So even you can see my opponents, when their needle's moving, it's a little glitchy. I'm going to ask around today and see if my teammates are getting glitch. Hopefully everybody's not getting. Hopefully everybody's okay and it's just me. But there are some of these holes, especially when they make changes of, and it seems like we've played these holes before when they had these new pin placements. I could be wrong, but it seems like we have. Maybe we haven't. All right. My notes on this hole are extra mile and a Kingmaker. And we can use a Titan. The Kingmaker does help because of the side spin. I'm not going to lie. It does help. But the whole goal here is we do not want to hit this with overpower. And if we have headwind days, so we're hitting it at you can get up there on the green on tailwind days by just taking the wind out. You start off at the plus 16 mark. So if we've got a headwind day, bring out a bigger ball and just pull it back to the plus 16 mark, and then you can work the wind out. All right, 3-5. I'm gonna do 3/8, which is, there's 4/2, so 2 rings is 4/2, so I'll do a little less than 2 rings. Hitting it perfect. Wow, I can't hit it perfect. And my notes say 1 less than max topspin, and I put on max. That's why it rolled out so fast. I read part of my notes, put it at the plus 16 mark, extra mile, 3 Powerball, plus 10 on the drive, but I didn't read the 1 less than max topspin. And I don't really know that you needed to use that curl. The curl is not, like right here, you're not going to really see the curl. Where you'll see it is at the end. Too much topspin. I think I can win a chest here, so let's win a chest. Let's at least come out winners on something. Man, it is really freaking glitchy today. Glitchy. I mean, it's like, it's... Hopefully you guys are catching that. It is freaking... That is... My eyeballs are hurting right now looking at that. What happens when it gets glitchy is then you start getting gun shy, and then it all goes south. Because now it's glitchy, and then you're glitchy, and the whole thing is shit. Winning a chest. All right. I won something. Yay! That chest will have every single thing I've ever been looking for. Guaranteed. All right, hole number 9. Hole number 9. This hole right here pisses me off because I'm in the right spot almost every freaking time. But the second shot, it's... I mean, I make it, but I don't make it nearly as often. I'm in the right spot all the time. I'm going to take my extra mile and tighten number 1 bag. Let's make sure we're not going to qualify today. We are not going to qualify today. Excellent. I was playing one time, I think I shot a 6. I qualified the tournament with a 6 because it was on a Monday and I went out and qualified. I went out and practiced, and then everybody in my bracket was also practicing. So like, and 6 wasn't like the bottom score. I was like, I think there was a person or two behind me. And I was one of the first people to play in the bracket, and so I was like, 6 will be fine. There's no way. And then I got in the next day and I was like, you got to be shitting me. You got a tough tiebreaker when you got a 6 and you make it. Now, dude, like, okay, all right. I'm telling you right here, like, how bad do you have to fuck up in order to end up on the rough, in the rough on this drive? Dude, you've got 5 rings of separation on the left-hand side and 3 rings of separation on the right, and you ended up on the rough. I just, like, you really have to screw this drive shot up for that to happen. And I don't even think I have to use any power. I think I can just put it up there. 3.7. I'm going to do 2. I mean, that fairway is like a mile wide. And I see people do that all the time where they screw that drive up and they end up in the rough over there. And it's like, how bad of a shot do you have to set up and take in order to end up in the rough on the left-hand side on the drive on the shot? It baffles me. And my goal would be to get right out in front. I wouldn't even, man, you could have used the wind and you could have just pushed yourself up there, and here you're, once again, look how bad of a shot you took on the drive. Now you're going to do it again. That 2-ring great to the left might have actually helped them. It's probably the best thing that's happened to them so far on this hole. There's Max. There's man. I'm at mid. I'm just going to do a 1-to-1, even though I'm at mid. And I'm taking some wind off, so I'm doing 3.1 rings. There's 1, 2, 3, 1. Hitting it perfect. Wow, I hit 2 shots perfect. I think like 2 holes in a row, right? Ooh! And my notes said 1-to-1, -20, -0.1, and I forgot to take the -0.1 off, so it would have been just 3 rings instead of 3-1, and that would have been in the hole. Took 20% off. I'm at mid club, but I hit 1-to-1. See if my opponent can get in with the Firefly. Firefly 6 isn't a bad club. If you got a Firefly 6, you probably got a maxed out rapier, so I'd probably hit with my rapier just because it's more accurate. With the Firefly from this kind of distance, if you hit it perfect, it goes in the hole, but if you don't hit it perfect, it's really likely to miss. In the hole. And when you first start playing, the second you get a Firefly, it goes in the bag. It's got topspin and ball guide. That's what we're looking for. I'm going to be able to run it out, flatten it out, run it to the cup. We got ball guide. We got some stuff. Don't worry about the accuracy when you first start playing. We can adjust for that. All right. We got to look at all the holes, so I feel like I have a handle on my notes are pretty good. There is a couple of these holes that I don't like how they play out, like this one right here. I actually think that spot might be better than the old spot, so we got a better shot at Albie on that spot. This spot right here, it was, I think, further down, so trying to go for a hole-in-one here was like, it is possible, but it wasn't very likely, even if everything went your way. But here we might see more, not that they're going to be high percentage, but I think that spot does work better for us. This spot right here I don't like, because I like the old spot, but I think we still got a great shot here. If I can not hit 75 rings, great. I think we've still got a great opportunity here. When this holes first came out, this was not anybody's favorite hole, but I like this hole. I've made a shit ton of hole-in-ones on this hole at 60%, plus 60. We'll see if this area is hitting the same if next time I come here. And I had a Quasar with 2 side spin. It might have been, I usually like to be about 3 3¼ rings off of this transition, but with the 2 side spin ball I had to kind of pinch it up a little. I think I was still 2 rings away, but it might be easier to do it with a katana. I'll do it one more time with a Quasar and see how that goes. But this hole right here might still be good for us. This hole right here, that pin placement is really, from down in here, like, because this is where, because the pin placement's usually back here in the back. So let's see if he's got it marked. You know, the pin placement's usually back over in here. So if you're in this area, you draw a line from that, you can start off out in the fairway and run it up. So you can decide where you want to start. You're not dictated by this rough line right here. So it's not like you have to start in front of this line. You could start back here and then you can kind of run it up to the cup. But where the pin placement is now, you're starting in front of this, or you're doing that rough bump. And that rough bump, this sand is definitely distorting the rings. And so anytime the wind's blowing where you're having to pull over the sand, which is pretty much any day that there's tailwind, you're going to have to make not only the adjustment, but then you're going to have to adjust for the distortion of the rings from the sand. And it's not that that can't be done, but this is definitely, you want to know what you're doing before you get there, for sure, because it's super easy to over pull it or under pull it and end up either in the sand or missing the rough entirely. So if you're going to hit over into this area, kind of where I've been hitting, I'm just thinking maybe the second club. You know, our choices would be, I've got a Grizzly, but our choice there could be a Snipe or a Saturn, because a Saturn's got more backspin with the 92 backspin. Not quite as good a ball guide as the Grizzly, but you could get up in front. What is that, 3.9? I think Grim Reaper, even if you get it, it's in that same range, but it's got, so if you got a Grim, whichever one of the clubs has the most backspin, and for most people it's probably going to be the Saturn. But I'm thinking, let's think about this hole. So from out here we're in Grizzly, but if our pin placement's in this area and we want to get down through this throat, let's kind of draw that line out. I'll clip that rough right there. You know, if we were out in this area, we could easily bring that around back over to the cup and stay out in the fairway. We'd need a ball that has some side spin. So on your drive, bringing out, and I would say if you're going to hit it back over here, you're definitely going to be in wood if you're in long iron here. That a Kingmaker would probably be the better choice. But it might not be a bad idea to just lay it up right here. Try and get somewhat close to that sand, not ever get in the sand, but you know, trying to get into this zone right here, excluding that sand part. But trying to get right here so that you've got a sniper straight up to the cup might not be a bad play. I think a sniper straight up like that, where you could adjust it out, put on maybe 1.5, 2 backspin, and really get up to the cup and try and get a run at it, is better than coming at it with max backspin. I might try this next time I'm out here and see if just laying it up into that spot's better than here. There's nothing wrong with this spot, but the deal is if they're going to change the pin, it's going to change our approach. So we have to roll with the punches. You can't go, well, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to hit it out to there. Well, shit, hit it out to here. You have a better shot. Yes, you may go from long iron to wood, but you got a much nicer shot. And a sniper could do that super easy. Super. What's our next one? Hole number 5. Nah, this one's not much different. It's still a shitty hole. This one here is not much different. We still got to get over there. This one here, I don't like it at all. I don't like that pin placement at all, because both of those rough bumps blow now. So bouncing it over might be the way to go. Hole number 2, this one's not going to affect us that much, although that spot's not nearly as good as the other as far as for the rough bump, and this one's not really a factor. So we do have some changes because of the holes, but not too bad. All right, thanks for watching. Everybody have a great week, and hopefully some of my mistakes today will help you get better. Be safe.